collapse is finally knocking at your door. Your steel reinforced door layered with 12mm Lexan. You spent years and a mountain of cash turning a suburban split level into a stronghold. Seismic sensors, perimeter cams, and enough canned bacon to survive a nuclear winter. You feel safe? You think you've outsmarted the end of the world. But here's the truth your tactical influencers won't tell you. You haven't built a fortress. You've built a high-end, stationary loot box. You're just the unpaid security guard, keeping the contents fresh for the first organized crew that shows up with a 5-gallon gas can. Your private, self-contained fortress is just a flammable box full of calories and ammo. In a starving world, you aren't hiding. You're radiating like a thermal beacon in a dark forest. Disclaimer, this is not a guide. This is an autopsy of a fantasy. Let's start with the city dwellers. The Bug-In crowd on the 12th floor. You've got your water bob bladder in the bathtub, your door armor kits installed, and your blackout curtains taped shut. You think that as long as you can keep the hallway out, you can ride out the storm. Bravo! Your door might hold against a shoulder charge, but the drywall next to it? It's made of compressed crackers and hope. A 5-pound sledgehammer turns your fortified entrance into a suggestion in less than 30 seconds. That's not a fortress. It's a high-rise coffin with a deadbolt. In a multi-story building, you're part of a shared biological and mechanical system. When the grid goes down, the pumps stop. Nobody talks about this in movies. In films, people starve or die of thirst after some days locked inside without supplies. But there's a dirtier truth nobody likes to mention. Human biology doesn't wait for the plot. No drinkable water, and toilets become unpredictable. Maybe people try to be careful and keep flushing their precious water supply. Or maybe there's a blockage, or the building is old. Now add heat, or cold. Add smell. Add stress. End result, you're either living with sewage odors and backed up drains, or dealing with an overflow you can't control, caused by people you don't know. Your fortress depends on everyone else behaving perfectly. And if the desperate guy on the 4th floor decides to start a cooking fire on his laminate flooring to heat up a can of beans, the building turns into a concrete chimney. You'll choke on toxic smoke from burning IKEA furniture long before you ever see an enemy. Here's the cynical twist. Off-grid dreamers forget. The numbers game. That's the part that confuses people. And why the city argument never dies. The city can be a death trap and still be the place where resources return first. When society starts to fracture, the remaining infrastructure doesn't flow to isolated land or private ranches. It flows to the centers. Governments, or whatever replaces them, stabilize dense populations first. That's where the return on effort is. So if you're in a suburban or urban hub, you may be prioritized for water trucks, food drops, and organized patrols. Cold math. If you're cut off in the mountains with a shattered ankle, you don't become a legend. You become a data point. In the city, you're a population that has to be managed. You might feel trapped inside your urban fortress, but when stabilization starts, if it starts, you're already on the map. Isolation sounds like freedom until you realize what it really means. No priority, no logistics, and no reason for anyone to come looking for you. Then we have the bunker cult. The guys who dropped $250,000 on a steel tube buried 10 feet under the backyard. You've got Swiss-made NBC filters, overpressure valves, and just enough lighting to keep you sane. On paper, it's a masterpiece of engineering. In reality, your entire life depends on a 6-inch pipe sticking out of the mud. And here's the part the brochures don't mention. Your brain knows you're in a box. After about 72 hours, the air feels wrong even when the sensors say it's clean. You weren't designed to live in a hole, and your sanity has a shorter shelf life than your canned food. And here's what people who've actually been in combat will tell you. The ones who defended real positions, not fantasies. Their wisdom is blunt. I don't need to break in. I don't need to fight. I just need to make staying inside unbearable. And just like that, you're a canned sardine. You either come out in 5 minutes or you stay down there forever as an archaeological find. In a world without law, a static target is just a puzzle for anyone with time, a shovel, and curiosity. They can simply wait you out. You won't emerge as a hardened survivor. You'll come out pale, weak, and blind to the new world, while the people who stayed above have been adapting for months. So here's a fun question. Are you absolutely sure no strangers know your bunker coordinates? Now let's look at the favorite prepper fairy tale, the bug-out cabin. You think distance is armor. You believe that being miles from the nearest neighbor makes you invisible. Real-world conflicts tell a different story. In places like Bosnia or South Africa, isolated rural homes weren't safe zones. They were low-risk, high-reward targets. Here's the part the fantasy skips. Local people mapped your cabin long before the collapse. Not on Google, on paper maps, or just in memory. You didn't secretly build it. You didn't quietly haul in supplies. You didn't go unnoticed, driving back and forth with tools, fuel, and food. By the time you arrive hoping to disappear into the woods, someone else may already be waiting. The locals who've lived on that land for generations know every trail, every fence line, every routine. They know when you leave and when you're supposed to come back. Now, try hand-pumping water in mid-winter, splitting 4 cords of wood a year, and watching your back at the same time. Survival isn't a movie. It's backbreaking labor that leaves you too exhausted to hold a rifle. And this is the part most alpha types hate hearing. But Chris from City Prepping is right. The lone wolf is a fairy tale. It's a myth designed to sell gear, not keep you alive. Real survival, the kind that lasts longer than a weekend, is collective. You can't be the medic, the mechanic, the gardener, and the sentry at the same time. A fortress without a community isn't a stronghold. It's a warehouse waiting to be taken. That's the final system failure. Biology. A fortress is a 24/7 manpower schedule attached to a body that needs rest. After 20 hours on alert, your reaction time is gone. That's how the lone wolf dies. Not because the walls failed, but because he had to close his eyes. Let's be honest. Most fortress talk is just a power fantasy. It's easy to imagine yourself as the rooftop sniper. It's much harder to imagine pulling the trigger when the person on the other side of the door is a neighbor with a hungry kid in his arms. You wanted instructions? Fine. Here's the minimum reality check to prove you're not just decorating a coffin. Start with waste. Figure out how much trash and human waste your household produces in 2 weeks and how you'd handle it without sewers or garbage trucks. If your plan is I'll figure it out, you're building a disease factory, not a refuge. Then test sleep. Run a real 24-hour watch. No grid. No phones. One person is awake at all times. If you can't handle one quiet day, you won't survive one loud night. Finally, test people. Name 5 neighbors you could call right now for help. Not prepper buddies 3 states away, but people close enough to hear you scream. If that list is empty, your fortress already failed. Here's the truth, plain and simple. A fortress only works in movies. In the real world, survival is collective, or it doesn't last. Security isn't something you buy. It's people, coordination, and trust built long before things fall apart. We talked about that in a previous video. I'll link it below. Now tell me, where are you betting your survival? Isolation, gear, or people? Drop it in the comments. Argue with me. Next time, we're talking about navigation, real maps, real terrain, no GPS. Because the fastest way to die in a collapse isn't a gunfight. It's getting lost 10 miles from home.